So the thing about Van Halen is this has always been dumb music for dumb people, right?
Lowest common denominator shit.
People who think Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused is the ultimate role model.
My eyes are rolling in my head so hard right now.
Be a lot cooler if you did, man.
Bottom of the fucking barrel bullshit.
It's not even a controversial statement. Like the entire point of this band is so obviously just to be dumb.
Yeah.
Like I always wonder if people in bands like this regret their decision to make dumb music for dumb people, because then your whole fan base is just people who are dumb as fuck.
You know who I see as being the ultimate Van Halen song is that one character from Revenge of the Nerds, the big oafy guy that's just like, oh.
Oh,
it's
I know what you're talking about. The big guy.
Yeah. He's got like a crazy hair thing and like doesn't really speak English or just kind of like utters words. I mean, it's a fictional character, but obviously that guy's real in some way. Like his favorite band for sure is Van Halen, for sure. And he's just like, oh my God, drink more. I'm hot for the teacher. Oh.
The thing about Van Halen being dumb, though, is I don't believe the members of Van Halen, or at least the main creative forces of the band, are that stupid. David Lee Roth is obviously much smarter than most people can tell from his dumbass persona. All you got to do, listen to a few interviews, and you'll hear he's got a much larger vocabulary than the average person.
Almost like he was playing a role.
Oh, it's absolutely like he was playing a role.
Okay, how do we make knuckle dragging moron music for knuckle dragging morons? And but the thing is, you can't just make that. You got to be it. And you got to laugh all the way to the fucking bank because you sell so many records to morons that you're like, I love this.
It helps that you're making money hand over fist. And it made it easier that Dave was on a cocktail of drugs that would stop the average person's heart. He was fucking wrecked the whole time. So it made it pretty easy to just play dumb. A lot of people look at Van Halen and see what's there on the surface. They complete with all the moronic, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like barbershop quartet scatting segments. And they're like, wow, this band is moronic. But to me, it seems the more accurate statement would be, wow, this band is acting moronic.
Sure. No, I definitely think it's all a fucking ploy. I think it's really, really hard to get that huge and that rich and be a complete idiot. There's no fucking way he was ever really that dumb.
And it's not just him, too. Did you know that after Eddie Van Halen saw the movie Spinal Tap, he asked the company who made his guitar amps to put 11s on the knobs? Need that for the character that I'm playing.
Yes, I need to live up to the character that everyone thinks this is.
There was this one time where Van Halen said that they were going to skydive into a concert. And then they just hired stuntmen to skydive in wearing the same jumpsuits. And then the band is just like hiding somewhere. People actually skydive in, and then Van Halen runs on stage wearing the same jumpsuits. And everyone goes crazy because they have no idea. What they just saw.
Oh my God, that was so real.
If there's one thing that everyone knows about Van Halen, one little piece of trivia, it's the brown M&Ms.
Yes, which I will say, I really have a hard time with this. Okay, so is it because he's just a complete mind-boggling egomaniac?
That's what everyone thought.
Right. Or is it because they said legitimately from a production standpoint, if you read the writer, and when they have this long ass, you may not know this, but every time a band tours, every band has expectation, rules, guidelines, blah, blah, blah. It's a writer. So if most people don't read the writer, but in this situation, if you had read the writer, they want all the brown M&Ms taken out. If you didn't take the brown M&Ms out, that means you probably didn't pay attention to the rest of the writer. And the idea was, oh shit, there's brown M&Ms. Okay, well now we need to go through everything else to prove that you actually did what we need you to do.
Yeah, so for decades, people assumed that this was just a bunch of rock stars being prima donnas and making people cater to their every little whim.
Which is very common, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
that is,
absolutely.
of course, like batteries or socks or some bullshit thing that they don't need or whatever is on riders all the time.
I've seen some crazy riders over the year. We definitely don't have time to go into this as an alternate subject.
That's a different podcast.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen riders where the entire band gets a new pair of shoes every show.
Yes.
Like that kind of shit. So for decades, people thought that this was just rock star asshole bullshit. But then David Lee Roth has actually come out and said, it's like, no, we're doing a really intense stage show. And they were. Like, if you look at what Pink Floyd was doing, that's like more complicated than what Van Halen was doing. But what Van Halen was doing was complicated, not easy. Pretty sure there's a lot of like pyro involved. They need it to be right, or you're talking about if someone gets hurt, they get sued. They're the ones who get sued, you know? Yeah. So at a certain point, it's just like, we can either come in and spend hours checking what the local people have done when we come in, or we can have one way to find out whether or not they actually paid attention to everything that we asked them to do.
Right.
And that's brown M&Ms. You know, you go into the green room, fuck, there are brown M&Ms there. So we need to go over everything.
Right. Pretty fucking smart. It's actually genius. Real quick though, one of the things you just mentioned that just really registered in my brain, and this is kind of a little bit off topic a little bit, is the people that I know that were huge Van Halen fans really hated Pink Floyd.
I think it's just the opposite of having a good time. Like Van Halen is having a good time. Pink Floyd is just the opposite of having a good time. Like, we're going to have a bad time together right now, but it's only because we're smart and we get it. And that's why.
So I could smoke a ton of weed. Pink Floyd's going to make me think or be introspective or have a weird experience, whereas Van Halen's just going to be like, we need more.
Pink Floyd fans got beat up by Van Halen fans in school.
For sure.
It's not hard.
100%. Van Halen fans were bullies to literally everyone. Yeah. Definitely anybody that listened to any kind of music that wasn't Van Halen, especially if they had a guitar in it. Roger Waters is a douche, and so are you, nerd.
Well, that's like an objectively true statement. Like, Roger Waters is a fucking douche. My personal favorite piece of Van Halen trivia is the fact that they made David Lee Roth their singer in order to avoid having to pay him $35 to rent his PA every time they wanted to play a show.
That's incredible. Dude, just join the fucking band. Just join the fucking band, man. I can't do this $35 every time we play.
Well, and he wanted to be famous so bad.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, he probably proposed it. Like, you know, if you've like made me your singer, I wouldn't charge you to rent my PA every time.
All right, hear me out. You could get this really shitty PA for free if I could just be in your fucking band.
I never have. I would love to see a picture of this PA. What it actually looked like.
What even was it, and how much did it even cost? Like, it was like $500.
I mean, we're talking like 1977. Yeah, so there's no way this wasn't good.
Like, no shit, it was probably $300. Like, the whole thing. Like, what was it? Like 5 patches on it? Like,
what? How much is $35 in the late 1970s? That's a lot of fucking money.
It'd be like every time. You'd be in a band, and every time your singer shows up, he's like, "Yo, you owe me $100."
Well, I think it might be more than that.
It might be.
I don't know.
No, just join the band. I guess you save money. Did you get a singer?
Whenever a band's first hit is a cover song, that should always send up a red flag. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, so what? They covered a song and it was a hit for the Kinks and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's not what happened, man. They didn't cover a song by a band that was already a hit. They covered the first hit record from a band who then went on to prove that they were not one-hit wonders.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, this was a song that paved the way for an entire career for this other band, and that's what they chose to cover. So if you just think about that for a second, again, pretty smart. It's also like, here's what happened here. And the revised mythology of Van Halen is that they capitalized on barely sneaking into the top 40 with their cover of You Really Got Me, by getting tour spots opening for bigger bands like Journey and Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposedly how they blew up into a huge band. And they did tour with those acts, but here's the thing about that. It was in 1978. This is before Journey had any hits, And it's when Ozzy Osbourne's drug use was in the middle of making Black Sabbath concerts so bad, they fired him the following year.
Yeah.
So it would have been literally impossible for Van Halen to not blow these acts out of the water.
Yeah, it's like, it's a little, you're looking at it into the past and going, oh shit, these are huge bands, but they weren't huge at the time or to the levels of what we think of as Journey or Black Sabbath. And yeah, if the headlining band is they're fucking drugged out of their minds and the singers literally can't barely function, the bar to be a better band than the headlining band is not even, it's literally touching the ground.
Yeah.
It's literally just resting on the ground. Oh, you can show up and actually play your instruments all the way through and your singer can finish the set. Wow, you're better than the fucking headlining band. Congratulations. Black Sabbath sucks.
I mean, Van Halen was a two-trick pony, David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen, but it was two tricks that these audiences had never seen before.
Right.
And compared to the headliners, they're going to leave at the end of the night talking about how the opener was better than the headliner.
Yeah, in all fairness, you're going there to have a good time. You're probably going to have more fun with dumbass Van Halen than you are with anything else that's probably playing. You're probably just like, this band just makes you want to drink more beer. Fuck yeah, let's get wasted.
The other thing about this is blowing a headliner out of the water does not necessarily translate into record sales for some opening band. And it certainly did not start selling Van Halen albums. They didn't become big because they were on these tours. Running with the Devil came out as a single in this time period, barely entered the top 100.
Yeah.
And the other two singles they released in this time, including Ain't Talking About Love, one of the fucking classic singles now, bombed. It entirely failed to chart. These opening band slots did not result in them becoming a huge band like everyone talks about.
Yeah, that, again, what is that called? There's like a
revisionist history.
Yes, revisionist history, and there's like a bias of like looking back.
You know what Journey became, and you know how everyone talks about Black Sabbath. So you see these names involved, and you're like, oh, but no, that's not what it was like at the time. People were mocking Black Sabbath. And Journey, no one knew who the fuck they were.
Right. It was because people went back and listened to it after they got huge off the song that you probably hate.
Van Halen's biggest early hit was on the second album. And it was with the song Dance the Night Away, which is so completely embarrassing for Van Halen fans listening to this. Yeah, that's the one that was their biggest first hit. A horrible song. And if you don't know that song, it's because you think this band dropped Running with the Devil and Jamie's Crying and everyone lost their minds on Impact because of how fucking incredible this was. But no, that's not what happened. And if you think so, you definitely need to listen to all of Van Halen's horrific second album and fully internalize the fact that that's when they started having hits. When they made that terrible fucking album is when they started having hits.
Then people went back and made those other songs bigger than they were at the time.
And it's not some big mystery why Van Halen's second and third albums are bad. They were touring nonstop for something like 4 years, barely spending any time trying to write new material. And then every now and then they'd go spend 2 or 3 weeks making an album out of old scraps that had been laying around for years. Of course, those albums are bad. They weren't trying to make them good. It was just like the bare minimum of effort to have something to sell at the merch table.
Yeah, the story is not, they spent 2 years in the studio writing and honing their skills.
Imagine.
It was, they went 4 years on the road, partying themselves nearly to death and then shitting out a garbage album.
I mean, by the time the fourth Van Halen album came out, the fans who had been burned buying the others, they were just not having it anymore. So the record label finally started having to dump payola into Van Halen. This is, we're talking about 1981, the Fair Warning LP. And I can't remember if it was Van Halen's producer or manager, someone really close to it at the time, eventually came out and said that it took nearly $250,000 of payola to get this album to go platinum.
Insane.
Guess what they did next? Another cover. They then released a cover of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman as the lead single from the next album, which was approximately 50% covers, I think, that next album.
Yeah.
And that cover of Pretty Woman is indefensible and unforgivable, honestly, by the way. If they did this and then were also the greatest band of all time, you would have to make them not the greatest band of all time because of this cover.
Because of this. It's a kneecapper. I am always skeptical of, okay, well, if the biggest songs that a band puts out are cover songs, I feel like almost always it is a dead giveaway that this is a shitty band.
Or a shitty genre like ska, which wouldn't exist without cover songs.
Right, yeah, it's literally only covers, regurgitating the same shit over and over again. Nobody writes original ska.
There are 5 original ska songs.
Yes, they have a very small pool of songs to choose from. Yeah, I guess they Van Halen falls into that category so easily.
But then guess what happens with their cover of Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
Massive hit song. It's nearly a top 10 pop hit.
Cheating.
But it says so much about the masses and their inability to recognize horrible music. There's nothing that I can say that's more damaging than the fact that this band's cover of Pretty Woman, which you need to listen to, because you're probably just hearing the Roy Orbison version in your mind, which is honestly one of Roy Orbison's worst songs. And then Van Halen covers it. It's so much more worse than you're imagining. If you're just imagining how it sounds, please, please, please go listen to it.
I always think it's really funny if you think about it, because people think of Van Halen and it's all like just insanely prolific guitar playing. Everything is about his guitar playing. And then one of their biggest songs is a cover song where there's literally no guitar playing at all. There's nothing to do with the popularity of this band at that moment that has anything to do with his ability to play guitar. That is not a complicated song.
This is going to piss a lot of people off, but we might as well just go ahead and talk about how overrated Eddie Van Halen is as a guitar player.
Again, I'm not a guitar player. All I know is I definitely know guitar players that are like, oh my God, he's one of the greatest guitar players ever. And
what kind of bands are they in?
metal bands. I don't know. I don't know anybody in anything but probably metal bands.
Okay.
Geez, I need
how many
friends.
Fans do these bands have?
Not a lot.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna get a lot of text messages. Van Halen fans are the epitome of dudes who think music is only real if it has a guitar in it.
Oh God, yeah.
This is them. This is that. When this band started using synthesizers, it pissed off a huge chunk of their fan base. There are so many stories about Eddie Van Halen getting booed at concerts for also playing the synth solo in the song Jump instead of just the guitar solo. Like when he went over to the synthesizer, everyone was like, boo!
If you're old enough to have been playing guitar before 1990, the chances of you at some point thinking that Eddie Van Halen was God were probably pretty fucking high. At some point, you probably thought, like, I play guitar because of Eddie Van Halen. I want to be Eddie Van Halen. Literally, that was all there was to the band. Van Halen was basically just him.
So here's the thing about Eddie Van Halen. He can put his right hand on the part of the guitar that normally only the left hand would touch, and he can do pinch harmonics, and people who don't play guitar think that must make him a wizard or something. And those people should be listening to a lot more ZZ Top. But people who think Eddie Van Halen was the GOAT are the same people who thought it was awesome that Alex Van Halen had 4 kick drums on his kit, even though it is impossible to play 4 kick drums at the same time, even if you're a good drummer, which he was not.
The guitar player wall of amps thing, which I gotta assume that Van Halen did at some point. Like
100%. And 2 of them are real, right, and the rest of them are false fronts.
Exactly. It's like the drummer version of the wall of amps. Check out these drums. Really, only this one works. The other 4 aren't even. There's no pedals even attached.
I know for a fact some poor son of a bitch is about to enter our YouTube comments and try to talk about the intro to Hot for Teacher. And dude,
it sounds like a motorcycle, but it's actually him doing double kick or something.
Well, yeah, it's him and it being delayed, so it sounds like he's hitting approximately twice as many drums as he's actually hitting. sorry to be the person to break this to you, but like he can't play that, and it's not him playing that.
Yeah.
Like he's playing half of what you're hearing. Also, it sounds like shit. Like even the way that it sounds when it's finished.
I literally listened to it today, and all I could think was they should have just used a motorcycle. It just would have sounded cooler, I guess.
At least 90% of Eddie Van Halen fanboys are the type of guitarist who think only lead guitar matters, which is in fact the inverse of the truth. Only rhythm guitar matters, and if you don't have good rhythm guitar, no one's ever gonna give a fuck about the lead guitar.
Yeah.
If the guitar player of Toto hadn't laid down the main riff of Michael Jackson's Beat It, exactly nobody would care that Eddie Van Halen played the solo on that song. And that is a fucking fact.
You can be the greatest, fastest, shreddingest. If what mattered was just lead guitar skills, Yngwie Malmsteen would be the biggest artist on planet Earth. There's a reason why he's not. You need that rhythm guitar. People like that. They don't want to just hear somebody shredding and riffing the whole time. Drummers no different. Just because you can beat the drums really fast and play a ton of crazy shit doesn't mean anything to the fact that makes you an enjoyable person to listen to.
Yeah, if it did, more of you would know who I was referencing when I said the name Thomas Pridgeon right now. You would know what I was talking about, and you'd fucking don't. The other thing, what you said made me think of Jimi Hendrix. So Jimi Hendrix gets talked about as one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And people who don't know shit about music usually think that that is because people are talking about his lead guitar. And they're not. It's because he was one of the most innovative rhythm guitar players. His rhythm guitar playing is so much better than his lead guitar playing, which was also great. And if you don't think so, definitely listen to the Band of Gypsies album because you haven't. But his rhythm guitar playing is the entire game. Hendrix's rhythm guitar playing was a nuclear bomb on the instrument. And that's why he's talked about as one of the great ones. It's not the lead. No one fucking cares about lead guitar players except for lead guitar players. There has got to be at least 100 videos on YouTube of small children playing Eruption note for note. I didn't try to find it for this, but I swear I remember seeing a video of a 12, 13, 14-year-old girl playing Eruption and looking bored as hell the entire time. It was like she was doing it to prove that she could do it and was kind of like actively trying to be an asshole at the camera is what it looked like. But she did, and she fucking played it.
She's like drudging through it like, yeah.
This is obnoxious that I have to do this.
Oh my fucking God, this part again. Because really, like applied to now, it's actually not that. There's way more interesting stuff being done in guitars.
When shit is truly incredible, like Hendrix was extremely influential. There's all kinds of shit you can point at as far as like what he influenced. Eddie Van Halen, not so much, man. Influential at the time, sure. Especially once they brought in Sammy Hagar and leaned into like doing the power ballads thing, and then like you got Whitesnake and all this shit happening. But after Nirvana came through, I mean, no one's playing guitar like this in popular music anymore. And there's a fucking reason. The closest you're gonna get is like Sum 41, and that dude was definitely referencing Iron Maiden way more than Eddie Van Halen.
I think he was exclusively referencing probably Iron Maiden and didn't give a fuck about Eddie Van Halen.
One thing I think a lot of music fans are not aware of is back in the day, Van Halen had a reputation for picking opening acts they believed were significantly worse than them, so that Van Halen would always look better by comparison.
That's not surprising at all. The number one note in my notes is absolutely top tier egotistical craziness.
Eddie used to tell Michael Anthony to just hang out on the root note instead of playing around with the scale or whatever key they were in, so that nobody would notice when, not if, when Eddie fucked up and played out of key. Bass players over here like hating like the 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever of all these scales. You're going to know when Eddie starts playing some wrong shit. But if he's just hanging out on the fucking one,
right,
you're not going to know when he messes up.
Right.
As long as he doesn't get away from the entire fucking mode, you're fine.
But imagine having such an ego that you don't just hire a fucking rhythm guitar player to play the rhythm guitar parts. It's just got to be about him and my, look at that. Look at that. Wait, did you see this? Oh, shit.
So the Shreds YouTube videos that people make, it come up on the show.
I love those.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
There are Van Halen Shreds videos. I defy everyone listening to this. Go search Van Halen Shreds on YouTube. Tell me how long it takes you to decide whether or not what you're watching is actually Eddie Van Halen playing a guitar solo or someone fucking with you by replacing the audio. It's virtually indistinguishable from what he was actually playing. It's insane because hitting a bunch of notes is not necessarily good music.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how fast you do it.
I love the ones, and maybe there's a Van Halen was where it looks like they're actually playing the parts that are in there. Like,
there are some
wait a minute,
good
is
ones.
that fake?
You're just like, okay, he had to be drunk this night. It's not what he's really playing, but it looks like it, and it doesn't sound that different from what he actually played.
Yeah.
This is a guitar player who absolutely needed someone to argue with him and keep him from doing most of the things that he wanted to do. But this is also a guitar player who was a control freak and would fire anyone who argued with him. So it's just a lose-lose situation.
Dude, they fired the bass player just so his son could play bass. Man. Has anybody written a book about that? That's some fucked up. I actually, when I read that, I was like, I don't even know this guy. I actually felt bad for him. I was like, geez, dude. Imagine playing with someone for all those years just to get booted so his son could play. Why not like make your son be like the good rhythm guitar player or something? Or why not say to your son, start your own band, son?
There's a video. I mean, we're about to have to get into talking about Sammy Hagar joining the band anyway. There's a video. So like Sammy Hagar was in this band for a long time. Eddie Van Halen talked a lot of shit on Michael Anthony after firing him. And Sammy Hagar was in the band with Michael Anthony for years. And he felt compelled to make this video defending him where Eddie talked about all this shit about like how Michael wasn't a good bass player the whole time. And Sammy was like, that's nonsense. Like he was a fucking great bass player. Eddie said that he had to sit down with Michael and teach him everything that he played, like note for note, like had to show him how to play it. Kind of like Julian Casablancas really actually showing the Strokes how to play the shit that he wrote.
Right.
That's a real thing, but apparently this is not a real thing. Eddie was just being a dick. I don't know. Like, I don't know why.
Come on, man. He's playing bass. And no offense to, well, I don't really give a shit. Bass is not really the hardest of all instruments to play.
It's one of the most fun instruments to play because it's not hard.
And definitely playing Van Halen songs is not
really.
Not
the bass parts. No one's
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The bass parts are not exactly like super difficult. So I can't fathom, oh, he was just incapable of playing these very basic bass things. After how many fucking years of doing it? Like, come on, man. So unnecessary. But that's like the ego shit, man. I would just have so much more respect for everyone if he just did it because like, well, I wanted my son in the band, so I kicked him out. I'd actually fucking respect that. I'd be like, oh, that's fucked up.
I think it's more like you can just like, it's easier to tell your kid what to do than it is to tell an adult man that you're not related to what to do.
I guess. Fuck.
So we got to talk about like David Lee Roth, the breakup, and bringing Sammy Hagar in. You got thoughts on that?
I mean, in my opinion, this is, probably the best of Van Halen. I think Van Hagar was probably top tier. It still sucks, but if you're gonna like look back at it, Hagar was. I mean, if he didn't get the boot, I think they would have had a real shot at being a good band long term.
This is the most commercially successful period of the band.
Yeah,
I know that's not what people.
It's not popular to say.
It's not what people
truth.
Focus on, but this is when they started selling more albums than ever, including Jump. Like,
yeah,
Van Hagar outsold Van Halen by a lot.
Well, I think it probably upset some Van Halen fans to know that really, like, a lot of people didn't give a fuck about the band until Jump came out. That's just the fucking truth,
right?
That era actually made the band, and that probably is why people went back.
Saying I only like Dave era Van Halen is precisely the same thing as saying I only like Black Album Metallica or earlier, in that Jump is this band's Enter Sandman, and millions more people only came on board Van Halen at the point of Jump. Anytime you're talking to someone who's old and like probably close to dying now, anytime you're talking to someone who's like, yeah, I was there and I was like listening to David Lee Roth the whole time when he was with Van Halen, and I really got pissed when Sammy Hagar joined up. You're talking to a fucking liar. Like, they weren't listening to Van Halen before Jump, and then that was like a millisecond before he was gone, and then Sammy Hagar's in.
Yeah, come on, man. You just be honest with yourself.
I will say I don't really give a fuck who's singing over this trash, but the entire philosophy in the songwriting of the band changed so much when they brought Sammy Hagar in that it's honestly pretty messed up that they even kept using the same band name. Should have changed the band name.
Yeah.
Whenever David Lee Roth used the word love in a song, he was either mocking love in general or using it the way Led Zeppelin used it as a euphemism for fucking, because you can't say fucking on the radio, right?
Right.
When Sammy Hagar uses the word love, he's using it like a Hallmark greeting card. And that's basically all you need to know about the difference in these eras. Van Hagar was this band leaning into the power ballad thing. The sound of all the worst bands who were influenced by Van Halen, that's Van Hagar.
Everyone likes to tell me, well, they sold 56 million albums. How could they be bad? Well, I made a very short list of bands that have outsold Van Halen.
Good.
That must be God's gift of fucking music, including Linkin Park.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wow.
Everything you say to me.
Wow. You know what Linkin Park did do? Embrace the rhythm guitar. And it worked. They sold more albums, and so did Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, and Pink, amongst a whole bunch of others.
That's the most damaging one. Pink. Fuck Pink. Her entire career is trash.
I think she sold more than double.
If Linda Perry is writing songs for you, they're not going to be good.
Yeah.
One of the worst songwriters of all time. Linda Perry.
Well, Linda Perry and Pink outsold Van Halen considerably.
One thing I do want to talk about with this breakup is I love how sloppy it gets when some band with a giant audience, which they had gained through the Jump video, kicks someone out of the band and replaces them. Like, the drama that occurs at that moment is always beautiful. The one thing about David Lee Roth that's so annoying is how you can tell he's never actually had to try to do anything in his life. So he doesn't think that he has to try. You know, he's the kind of guy who will read a treatment for a music video, see where it says David tap dances here, and he thinks to himself, oh, that's going to be great. It's going to look fucking awesome when I tap dance there. Without also thinking, wait, I don't know how to tap dance. And you can see this because it's just like in the music videos, he just does some fake tap dancing. Yeah, this is what it is, right?
That's all I got to do. Yeah. Look, I can do this too. It's easy.
David Lee Roth told some magazine, talk a shit on Sammy Hagar, and he was like, yeah, well, that guy's gonna have to sing Jump every night Van Halen plays his show, and I'm never gonna have to sing a Sammy Hagar song, so fuck him. So what Sammy did at that point was, at every Van Halen concert, he would pick someone from the audience and bring them on stage, and they have them sing Jump instead of him doing it himself. I think he finally started singing it himself in the 90s at some point, but like for most of the time he was in the band, would have an audience member come out and sing the song. Only because David Lee Roth talks shit in an interview. Can you imagine changing your whole job? Like, changing what you do at your job just because someone talks shit.
You're getting paid a boatload, literal,
sing the fucking song
of money every night. You know what music is? Music is people in the crowd going, dance, monkey, dance. They're paying to watch you make a fool of yourself and sing a bunch of songs that make them happy.
That's why they get mad when you talk about politics.
They don't want a monkey. Yeah, they don't want you to pull some random person up on stage to sing your biggest hit probably ever in the history of your band. Just sing the fucking song, dude. I just paid $1.50 or whatever.
Might as well jump. Like, can you fucking imagine how bad that had to be most nights?
Oh God, I would be so pissed.
Also, Is anyone actually jumping? Like David Lee Roth had some moves, not like great moves, but he was jumping and doing splits and shit.
I didn't watch any of it, but I got to assume also they're playing to an insane amount of tracks.
This is what happened on one of the recent reunion tours. It was like after his son was on bass, and one of the most famous Van Halen concert goes south stories, which is that they were playing to tracks. I don't know the actual song, but what had happened is a few songs earlier, the way that Eddie plays guitar, it's gonna fuck with the way that it's tuned. So like he's gonna have to do corrective measures, correcting the way his instrument's tuned, and with itself. Like this is, it would take a long time to fucking explain what I'm talking about right now. But so like your guitar needs to sound good with the strings on your guitar, not necessarily with anything else. So it's got to sound in tune with itself. So he's adjusting his guitar to sound in tune with itself. And Wolfgang over here on bass is like, oh, fuck, has changed his tuning. So now I have to change my tuning. So they're now in tune with each other. And they're the only stringed instruments on stage. And then they play the next song and the same thing. There's like adjustments and they're doing that. And then the next song has tracks which are
not in the key of whatever.
In the key that those tracks are recorded in. So they sounded in tune with each other, but then as soon as these tracks come in, oh fuck, we're nowhere near what these tracks are doing. And whatever their tuning was, it was not in a way where you can just like go up one fret or down fret. It's like in between. That's shit show.
It's fucking embarrassing.
The thing is that they didn't just stop. Okay, we're going to stop. We're going to tune it to concert pitch, use our tuners. We're going to restart, and then we'll be in tune with the tracks. He kept trying to fix it throughout the whole song, and it was just, I think you can find video of it if you are a sadist, but I'm not.
I mean, imagine being a band for at that point, what, 50 years or some shit, roughly at that point, and you're still fucking up at that level. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. I was just thinking about Jump and like there's so much going on there, like background vocal wise alone. Like it's got to sound thin and shitty when they just play it live and it's just one guitar and a bass and drums.
Well, when Sammy Hagar was in the band, he also played rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it wasn't like great or anything. Did you know that before they decided to hire Sammy Hagar, they were thinking about making an album where they just had a bunch of guest vocalists on every song? The list of people included Phil Collins. Singing Pete Townsend.
Wasn't there something where I didn't actually read it. I saw a video where was Gene Simmons like in there or something?
They thought about. What was that about? No. I think that Eddie Van Halen tried to join Kiss.
Oh shit. Oh my God.
I think Eddie Van Halen was like, hey, do you want me to be in your band? And Gene Simmons was like, no, I think like you should do your thing and then I'll do my thing.
That's too much.
It's like, it's okay.
Oh my God.
So we always love it when bands have done stupid commercials for some product or company or something.
My favorite beverage of all time.
We're not going to put a clip in it because the commercial just uses the song and there's no other text to it. But Van Hagar let Pepsi use the song Right Now for Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi.
Remember Crystal Pepsi?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, it only lasted for like a year. So a lot of people listening to this might not even know this was a thing.
It was a very failed product.
I think it was 1992 when Pepsi decided to offer a caffeine-free version of their drink that was also clear.
Was it caffeine-free?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, because it was diet trend that was happening at the time. Okay. Like Sweating to the Oldies had broke at this time.
Yeah, it tasted like shit. It was fucking disgusting.
I guess it performed really well in some test markets. Like they sent it to a few test markets and it did really well. But it was how many people buy it the first time, and they didn't actually do studies on like how many people bought it a second time.
Right, yeah.
So people bought it because they were curious, but no one fucking liked it. They thought that it was huge, so they dumped all this money into it, including getting this song on it, and then it just tanked.
Yo, I'm straight up a Pepsi guy. Fuck Coke, Pepsi for life, but Clear Crystal Pepsi was absolutely fucking atrocious. And I do remember that commercial. It's a shame we can't put it in there because it would be funny.
It's just the song.
I know.
Yeah.
Right now, come on, step around. Which doesn't even sound like a Van Halen song. right now makes no sense as a Van Halen song.
If you listen to 5150, it doesn't
sound anything like a Van Halen song.
Yeah.
Just like Aerosmith releases Get a Grip, which is nothing like that made Aerosmith what they were. Atrocious the whole time.
I do find it interesting that Sammy Hagar's relationship with Eddie Van Halen also went to shit. I think the perception most people had for a long time was that, well, because David Lee Roth is such a huge personality, it's obvious that he must have been the asshole in the original breakup, right? But then like the longer everything plays out, it looks like maybe not so much, or at least he wasn't the only asshole in the situation.
Yeah.
Because the more people worked with Eddie Van Halen, 100% of them, no, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's really the power of a massive, you cannot have two people in a band with egos that big. There's a reason why hardly anyone, apart from music nerds that like to know dumb shit, even know who the drummer is, even though it's his fucking brother. Most people don't know that, or who even the bass player's name was. They know the two massive soul-sucking, suck-up black holes of energy egos that were those two.
The band is named Van Halen. Oh, that's another example of ego. But like, that was David Lee Roth. Was looking at Santana, and he was like, they named the whole band after the guitar player.
Yeah.
We should do that with you.
That's
Which,
all
by
it
the
was.
way, Van Halen's a pretty fucking awesome last name.
Sure, no,
and
killer name.
Cool name for a band, for sure.
Fucking A. I just want to read the actual article that I found in Guitar World, telling the story about the time that Van Halen pulled a gun on Fred Durst.
Eddie Van Halen, not the whole band.
Yes, Eddie Van Halen specifically. So Limp Bizkit, as we know, had their tumultuous times. Wes Borland left the band for a while, and Limp Bizkit was going to continue. So somebody whispers in Eddie Van Halen's ear, you should go play with Limp Bizkit, see how it goes. You never know. So he goes, and he, of course, is got a literally like
has his mind blown by superior musicianship.
Yes. So his ego is so fragile, he can't handle being in a room with people that are equally as good as him. So like Durst, obviously being the prolific writer that he is, and the band being so talented, but he's got to be like, well, they're nowhere as talented as me. So he jams with them for a little while, and then he leaves and goes home and just cries about, literally says something along the lines of, I felt like, you know, a genius amongst morons, or whatever he said. Basically, that was it. So he realizes, I guess, at some point he left his guitar, which is literally his entire life.
And his fucking fault for leaving this shit there in the first place.
He just
Keep that
bails.
in mind as this story progresses.
Serious asshole just bails so hard on this that he doesn't even bother grabbing his own instruments when he leaves. He is known for being a guitar player, but yet leaves his shit there. Anyways, he messages Fred or the band the next day saying, hey, can I come grab my shit? You know, which is also weird. The guy's worth probably $100 million fucking dollars or some obscene amount of money. Rather than just being like, fuck it. He's like, they don't respond. So he's like, oh, I'm going to go get my shit. And the story actually goes into a little bit of what he was driving, which blew my mind.
It's like a sports car.
He did indeed.
Oh, no. It's an army vehicle.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Eddie once bought an assault vehicle from a military auction. So he rolls up wearing no shirt, his hair and his samurai bun on top of his head, his jeans held up with a strand of rope, and combat boots held together by duct tape, and had a gun.
This guy's a
in his hand.
millionaire. What in the fuck is going on? Why does Eddie Van Halen even have duct tape? He's a millionaire. Buy a new one. Like, whatever it is, buy a new one.
Dude, listen. He said, and I quote, that asshole, talking about Fred Durst, answered the door. I put the gun to that stupid fucking red hat of his and said, where's my shit, motherfucker? That fucking guy just turned to one of his employees and starts yelling at him, grab my shit. He continues, Eddie Van Halen stood in the front lawn on a residential home in Beverly Hills in broad daylight, smoking a cigarette while holding a gun on Fred Durst as he went back and forth from the house to the assault vehicle, lugging amps and guitars. What the fuck? That's pure fucking lunacy, man.
Yeah,
like, that is unhinged, crazy shit that no normal functioning person does. Okay, first of all, you're mega rich. Buy new shit. Who cares? You all can keep it. Second of all, you're mega rich. Send your assistant or some random schmuck that you know to go get your shit.
It sounds like it was like less than 48 hours. It's not like it's not like months where you're dealing with a dispute with your credit card company who won't acknowledge that you got scammed by someone or something.
From the article, it makes it seem like it was the next day, if not a very short window of time.
Oh man.
Even if you decide that it's a good idea to show up there and ask for your stuff back or get your stuff back, that's not weird. You could just say, hey man, can I get my stuff back? And they'd go, oh, sure, of course you can.
Didn't you say that he also like didn't respond to a message from Fred Durst?
Yes, he messaged Fred and Fred had not responded. But they made it seem like it was a very short window. It'd be like me texting you.
I shut my phone off for weeks at a time.
Yes, I know. I'm very familiar. Yeah, it's obviously his ego was so huge that he felt like he had to go point a gun at someone to ask really simple questions such as, can I get my shit back? Which they're not holding hostage. Now, if the story was
like Fred Durst wants your fucking guitar gear.
If the story was Fred responded, fuck you, I'm keeping it. Yes, exactly.
It's my shit now, Eddie.
Shit's on eBay already, motherfucker. Like, okay, maybe you have a point. But like, they're not holding your shit hostage. You know what I'm saying? It's there, ready for you to go get it, dude. Just go get it. Also, the fact that it's Limp Bizkit of all fucking bands.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, why did he even go to this in the first place? Because like, all he would have needed to do, press play on any Limp Bizkit song.
Yeah.
Why are you taking this meeting if you're not interested?
That's the thing, too. For all the Limp Bizkit hating, Van Halen loving people listening to this podcast, if Limp Bizkit was so fucking bad, why would God tier guitar player Eddie Van Halen even take the meeting? Obviously, he listened to it, and obviously, he recognized there's talent there. They were obviously doing something that he was interested in maybe being a part of, and it didn't work out, so he went full Looney Tunes and threatened Fred Durst with a gun. That is crazy shit. If Van Halen is your favorite band,
your favorite band sucks! You're welcome for listening to Your Favorite Band Sucks. Go to yfbspod.com to get a link to this episode and share it with as many people as you think should hear it. While you're on the website, visit the merch store to get a t-shirt or some stickers or a gift card for someone else, or hell, you can just leave us a tip if you want to support the show. If you've got anything to say to us that's worth hearing, then you can find our page on anchor.fm to leave us a voicemail. And maybe someday we'll do an episode featuring sound clips from fans and haters alike. All right, we've done a lot of pop and dumbass party music episodes lately, so I feel like it's about time to cover some sad bastard bullshit. Come back in a couple weeks to hear us tear Ryan Adams into about 1,000 pieces and let him float away gently in the wind.